Kia ora again. Okay, well, it is time to start doing some styling to make this page look a bit better. So, what we're going to do is we're going to learn about div classes and ID classes. They are another tool that we can use. What we've got so far is within the body section, and this is the content that will actually show on the page. We've got 4 divisions. We've got a header division, which will have the title, and we're also going to style that to include the logo. We've got navigation, which we've used as an unordered list with list items, so we can style that up. We've got a main section. That's the largest content area within the web page, and then of course there's the footer. So if we wanted to, for instance, we wanted to center this content on this page, it would be a really good idea to wrap it. To do that, and we're only going to do it the once, we would use a div ID. So let's just bounce over here, and the difference between an ID and a class. So you've got a div ID, a div class. I'll often call it there. So effectively, this is a good page to have a wee look at. So just look it up, csstricks.com, or Google the difference between. An ID is unique, all right? Each element can only have one ID, and it would only be used once on a page. Whereas a class, a div class, you can use that same class on multiple elements. So say we have got one H2 heading, 2 H2 headings, 3 H2 headings within our main area. We could use a div class. However, we might wrap each of these H2's paragraph text, and if there's an image, we might wrap that into an ID section. Alright, but the first thing we're going to do is actually, we're going to, sorry, I've got a cat who's moving across. Do you want to go across now? No? Okay, come on, off you go. Good girl. Alright, sorry. So we've got the body, but what we might want to do is wrap the rest of it, so all the content of the body, within a div class container. Sorry, a div ID container. So a div ID container is going to look like this. So I'm going to start by typing div. And that'll give me my closing tag. The cat's sitting on the mouse. It's handy, isn't it? I'm going to go into the opening tag, put a space, and type in ID, and press enter. And then it gives me the double speech marks. I have to name it. Now, you want to name things so that they're understandable. A container is something that you would put all the contents in. So let's do that. So I need to grab that closing tag, copy and cut, and I need to put it at the very bottom of the content. So that's going to be, so you've got the footer, and then we've got the closing tag. Now at the moment, looking at it, I can't see it clearly, so the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all this content right down to the footer close tag, and I'm going to tab it so that it's in one. Now, and I've just looked at the top, if I click on body, the body opening tag, it highlights that line in the body, the closing body tag. Now I actually remember I need to do that for my div ID, so I've clicked on it, it's highlighted the word div. You can see the brighter line, and then that's telling us this is at that div's closing tag. Right, that's really important. It's going to help endlessly with your troubleshooting. So I'm just going to save that, and then over here on the style sheet, we'll style the body, body, body first. Oh gosh, spell it correctly. Right, there we go. Curly braces. And let's give it a background colour. Now I'm going to be going for fairly bright sort of colour, so I'm just going to grab that, and then when the little box comes up, float over it, and I'm going for quite an orangey colour. Alright, so that's cool. And then let's style our div ID. Now you start that, so you're telling the browser on the style sheet, you start it with a hashtag, and then you call it whatever it was called. So in our case, container curly braces. Give that a background colour, and this I'm going to be lighter, so I'll use that biscuity colour. I'm going to save that, and oops, let's just do, I don't want that one. I'll just grab over here, make sure I've saved. Yeah, make sure I've saved there as well. Okay, open, ka-chink. Alright, so we can see that we've got the container is sitting upon the body. So now we could give it a bit more styling. Back over to here. So I've given that body a background colour, and I could give it a margin. Now let's just have a quick look at the whole idea of box theory, HTML, the box, CSS box model. Alright, so this is what it looks like. You've got your content. Around the content you will put some padding to give it a bit of space. We could then put a border around it, or not, but imagine there's this invisible border that has no width. Outside of that is the margin, and that would give a bit more space between the actual elements. So we're going to play with that idea. So over on the body, we're going to go for margin, and I'm going to use these measures of EMs rather than pixels, px's. So, and the reason for that is it helps make the website more responsive in size. Say the size of an item, but I'll talk to you a bit about that later. Let's just see what that's done. Get rid of you. Alright, so you can see there's a bit more space at the sides, and it's a smaller space at the top. We could also add a bit of padding. There it is. And we'll give it 1 EM. Now, let's just talk about this. When you write down the measurements that you want for your content, which is going around a box, it goes top, right, bottom, left. Okay, so top, right, bottom, left. If you want to just have the top is the same and the left and right is the same, you can write it in shorthand like this. So 1 EM, that's the first number, it indicates the top and the bottom, and then 2 EMs is the second number indicating left and right. If I want for the padding for it just to be 1 EM all around, I just need to write that once. I don't actually need to do this. Alright, so we want to be efficient with what we write there. So we'll save that. Let's have a look at what that's done. So it's just pushed everything in a bit. Now, another really good tip is right-click inspect. And what you can do on this is we can have a look. So at the very top here you can see that I'm hovering. So the HTML page, that's everything. The body is what we can see in the blue. The div container, oops, cat is on the move, no. Okay, so our body has got a bit of hangover, sorry, it's in green, to the sides and to the top, whereas the container is just the blue. Then we could go and find our nav in the blue, the URL, so unordered list, which is in the green, and the list tags, that's blue. And here we can see all sorts of bits and pieces that we can play with, but more on that later.